Hi all, welcome back to Matlab tutorial on Tube Fulcrum. This session is on the unit step signal generation in Matlab. The unit step function is also known as the Heaviside function is a discontinuous function whose value is 0 for negative arguments and 1 for positive arguments. This concept can be mathematically expressed as h of n is equal to 0 for all n that is less than 0 and 1 for n greater than or equal to 0. Our current intention is not to deal with all the formal details. In this brief session, we are going to deal with it in an informal way in order to just operate with it and create some plots in Matlab. This function is commonly utilized in control theory or digital signal processing to represent a signal that switches on at a specified time and remains switched on indefinitely. The function depends on real input parameters. We can define the function having a scalar number as an input. For example, let's create a discrete plot without using any special toolbox in Matlab. Let's create a function file for this. So let's say we have an output argument, say y, and let the function name be step underscore fun, and let the function take a single input argument. Let's call it as n. Okay, so before proceeding, let's save our file. So it should have the same name as that of your function. So alright, done. Now let's write the code to perform the task. So we assume a scalar input and default output value is 0. So y is equal to 0. We change our output to 1 if the input argument is greater than or equal to 0. So how do we write that? If n, that's our input argument, greater than or equal to 0. So if that is the case, what should be our output? It should be 1. So now if we want to get a plot from there, we have to iterate utilizing real numbers. If the input is an integer, then the function will be a discrete one. To stress the fact that we are working with discrete functions here, we'll use stem instead of plot. So let's call the function from another script, for example. So we iterate from -5 to 5 using only integers. So for n is equal to -5 to 5. Y is equal to, we will invoke our function here. So function name is step fun, and then we need to pass the input argument. So we have discussed in details about the looping statements, writing user-defined functions, invoking the same, etc. So now we will plot using stem of n comma y. Let's hold for a while and then let's terminate the loop. So this is the output that we get once we run our script. So this is the expected output. For all values that is less than 0, our output is 0. And for all values that is greater than or equal to 0, we got an output of 1. Okay, now let's say that we have a vector, not a scalar, as an input, and we want to calculate the Heaviside function for all the values included in the vector. we can treat another function to concentrate this approach. So let's create a function and let this have an output y, and let's name this function as Heaviside. Now let it take a single input argument and let it be n. Now, as discussed, our default output is 0. So let's write it as y is equal to 0 into n. It's because it's a vector here. Our input n is a vector. Now after this, we find values in n that is greater than or equal to 0. Because for all values that is greater than or equal to 0, our output is 1. So for that, we need to find the values that is greater than or equal to 0 in n. So how do we do that? We will make use of the find function. Find n greater than or equal to 0. If that is the case, our output is 1. So we don't need a loop now. So our process has been simplified a lot, and let's assume this new approach. So now let's get back to a script file. Let's edit this. Okay, let's say n is equal to -5 to 5, and we will invoke our function here. So our function name is Heaviside, and let's pass n as the argument, and now we'll use the stem plot to plot the function. So stem of n comma y. So this is the output that we get when we run our file or the script. So it's a unit step function which has value 0 for all the n that is less than 0 and 1 for all n that is greater than or equal to 0. So this is about generating a unit step function in Matlab. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe. And please don't forget to tap the bell icon. You'll get notified whenever we upload a new videos. Thank you.